Let's talk about the Adam Toledo video that dropped in Chicago. It is, we won't play the video. It's not hard to find it. You can find it on the Chicago Tribune website. There are actually two different angles on the Chicago Tribune website. A police officer chasing after a 13-year-old boy in an alley. Apparently, they were called to the scene by artificial intelligence that had signaled there had been a gunshot fired somewhere. The boy is running down an alley. There is a wooden fence to the boy's right, and the police officer is yelling at him to stop. The boy stops at a gap in the fence. There is video from a security camera pretty far away that may or may not show him making a tossing motion with something behind the fence. The police officer essentially stops and yells at him to turn around, to raise his hands. He raises his hands, and within a second, he is shot by the police officer, dead. And the police officers purportedly found a gun against that wooden fence. It's unclear from the clips I've seen whether the body camera is continuous throughout that. In other words, there's no cuts, because of course, it's not. It certainly happened in the past that police officers have placed guns and other things in certain areas, but presumably somebody has seen the body camera, and there's been no reports that the body camera was turned off at any point. This is, of course, on top of all the other, the Dante Wright killing, which is, and the Floyd killing trial, Derek Chauvin, all happening this week. Here is Lori Lightfoot saying that Chicago failed Adam Toledo, 13-year-old boy. Here she is.
And simply put, we failed Adam. And we cannot afford to fail one more young person in our city. We must do everything we can also to eliminate the scourge of firearms from our city. Every year, the Chicago Police Department recovers more guns than New York and LA combined. Not because we have a better strategy, not because we pay more attention, but because we have too many damn guns on our streets.
It should be said, she also said that earlier, if I'm not mistaken, that he had a gun in his hand when he was shot.
Yes.
And that was
The prosecutor
overturned by the video.
Apparently also said that, that he had a gun in his hand when he was shot. And the video clearly shows both his hands up in the air before he is shot. Here is a former Chicago police superintendent saying that this was a good shooting.
Garry, what do you see?
Well, listen, first of all, I got to say that while Dan was chasing people in the 7-5, I was doing the same thing in the 4-6 precinct in the Bronx. And while I have enormous respect for Alderman Lopez, I have to disagree because, you know what? I know what's in that officer's mind because I've done it before. I've chased God knows how many people with guns. I did it as the superintendent here. And by the way, Sean, you got me very depressed listening to what's going on in Chicago, because the fact is, I ran New York's crime strategy for 7 years, 2 years under Mayor Giuliani, 5 years under Mayor Bloomberg. We know how to do this. And when I was the superintendent here, we had 50-year lows in the murder rate. It's gone up 100% since that termination back in 2015. The bottom line is we know how to do this in policing. We're not doing it, and we're not doing it for a number of reasons. The single most important factor is politics of this country today. What I'm seeing is tons of newspaper people, news folks, trying to make what is apparently a good shooting bad. I know what was going through that officer's head because I had so many times.
Let me give a quick last word, if I can, Alderman.
So it's the press that's trying to make this into a bad shooting as opposed to a good shooting. The idea that this guy who is in charge of policing would, and I know he's being colloquial here on some level, but the idea that he would perceive this as a good shooting, a legit shooting. You know what? Like, if that's the case, why isn't the police officer just firing as the kid is running? I mean, what more can the kid do? The police officer says, "Stop, raise your hands." And
the function of that is just to make him a stationary target.
I mean, apparently, right? Like, what's the point? If you're going to fire as soon as he complies, why would you have fired before then? Why are you chasing him so closely? Like, the you know, and ultimately, the problem is that they're going out and they are looking for trouble in some respects, and people who don't necessarily present a danger to our society are paying the price.
I mean, that shot spotter element. So you basically have cops who largely come from the suburban white communities around these areas, going into communities based off of a computer signal with no other context for that, and with guns. This is what happened.
I want to play this clip. This was I found this on Twitter. It's actually a series of 3 clips. This is from February 2020. So it's, you know, from a while ago. It doesn't, it's, this guy, I guess the guy's name is Ace Perry, and he's in Sampson County, North Carolina. There are 3 series of videos. He gets pulled over and he sets up, I guess he's got two phones. One might be a work phone. One might be, you know, his personal. And he puts the phone in the well of the car because he doesn't know why he's being stopped by this sheriff. We just picked the video from the in between, but it is, I mean, it's not in any way violent. Well, it's not in any way violent in terms of there's nothing being shot, but there's an undertone of a threat here, and this driver can't figure out. Well, I mean, he knows why he's been pulled over, but he can't get the cop to say why. Watch this.
Absolutely no sense.
Morning. How are you, sir? Deputy Snell with the Sampson County Sheriff's Office. You got your license and registration on you?
I do.
Okay.
All right, may I ask what the stop is for, sir?
I'll let you know as soon as you give me your ID. Who you work for there? Your shirt.
Delmar Oil Company.
Delmar Oil Company?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long you been there?
May I ask why that is?
Well, I'm just talking to you. I see your shirt there. I'm just asking. Is it wrong to ask you questions about where you work?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what that has to do with the stop.
Okay. All right. Well, if you don't want, you know, just casual conversation, that's fine.
Got
I got you stopped there. You're driving 65.
Information gathered.
Wait. Go back because you got to hear. He just explains to him why he's being stopped. I mean, let me tell you. I want people to think about what could possibly be the reason why this guy's being stopped. Listen to this. It's stunning. I've never even heard of anybody getting stopped for this.
Is it wrong to ask you questions about where you work?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what that has to do with the stop.
Okay. All right. Well, if you don't want, you know, just casual conversation, that's fine.
I
got you stopped there. You're driving 65, and you know, speed limit 70. I'm just wondering what's wrong. I mean, are you okay?
Other than
I mean, you okay? I mean, you ain't...
Traveling 5 miles below the speed limit is
Yes,
a
sir.
reason.
I'm just checking on you. That's all I'm doing, okay?
Yes, sir.
You good?
I'm great.
Awesome.
How are you?
I'm doing better than I deserve, you know. You got the paperwork for the vehicle?
It's actually a rental car. The only paperwork that I have is via email.
It's what?
A rental car.
But what were you saying about something? You said something right after that.
The only paperwork they give you is via email.
Okay. You pull it up digitally?
I can.
Okay. How long you got it for?
Until I decide to take it back.
Oh, okay. They don't have like a scheduled day to return it?
They do, but unfortunately for my schedule right now, I'm not able to.
I think that's the end of that's the end of anyways this installment of it. A couple of things that are just amazing. The guy was pulled over because he was going 65 in a 70-mile-an-hour zone. Has anybody ever like listening to the word, like, well, I imagine maybe this is not that there are black people maybe who have been pulled over, but are there any white people who have ever been pulled over for going 5 miles under the speed limit when the speed limit's 70?
No, I remember just driving around Fargo, just basically because I had nothing to do listening to podcasts. I would regularly go like 15 and a 25 or stuff like that because you're just hanging out.
I mean, but
I was never bothered. That was never I never had to worry about cops.
But the idea of going 65 miles an hour on a 70-mile-an-hour highway and getting pulled is just absurd. It's just absurd. The better than I deserve, that's Dave Ramsey thing. So this is a cop who listens to a right-wing radio. You can see the other things here. I mean, and the cop comes up at the end when he realizes he's being videotaped and gives the guy also wants to know where he's coming from, where he's been driving for back and forth. And he comes up and he gives the driver a warning and says, "I'm not going to ticket you today. I'm just going to give you a warning." And the guy looks at the thing and he's like, what am I getting the warning for? And he goes out and he asks the cop, but the cop sees that he's got a video camera. I mean, this is the context in which, and so the point is, what is the relationship between that traffic stop, in quotes, and the shootings we see is just simply that there is an enormous amount of police in this country, and it's a function of our society, writ large, that necessarily, as soon as they see a black person, there is an elevated threat. And it either manifests itself in randomly pulling over a person on the highway or pulling the trigger on your weapon just in the blink of an eye. And I don't know. I don't know how you don't start dealing with that without wholesale changes in policing, like no traffic stops. And like very, very, very narrow situations where you're following anyone, you're running after anybody while holding a gun.